Hello everybody and welcome back to another mock draft. This one is, I believe, after week 14 of the NFL season. But we're going to kick this one off here. It's going to be a fun one. We're going to do a little bit more player analysis than normal, especially with some of these, bottom picks that some people may not know more about these prospects than you do at the top of the board with the top 10 or so picks. Number one overall pick belongs to the Carolina Panthers, but due to a trade last year for one haul that they traded up for Bryce Young, the Carolina Panthers gave the Chicago Bears the number one overall pick. The Panthers have looked like but not good at all this season, and the Bears are picking number one. Once again, I'll mention that. So I understand the argument here for Justin Fields. You think people like him, everything like that. I've seen it all before. Justin Fields is not Caleb Williams, and that's why I'm picking Caleb Williams. I'm not even going to try to defend it. I mean, people with logic and common sense will understand this pick, but those Bears fans or just Justin Fields enthusiasts will probably not like this. I don't really care. You're getting Caleb Williams. It's better than Justin Fields. Number two, the Patriots really struggled to find their quarterback, and that's why they're going Drake May. When he's in rhythm in the pocket, he's really good. Probably the best pocket passer in this whole draft class. Caleb Williams is great out of structure, and Drake May can work outside of structure, but he's so good also in structure and slinging it downfield. He has a will to make big plays, big arm, great arm talent, had a bad offensive line and still put up crazy numbers. So Drake May, the player for me at number two. That leaves Marvin Harrison Jr., which is so fun with Kyler Murray. Not quite a gunslinger in Kyler Murray, but just a player of a certain profile that I think those two kind of they would do really well together. I think in theory. I'll say this every time I talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. or even hear his name. He's one of the best players I've seen at the catch point at the college level, probably ever. He looks so good. I won't say Davante Adams-esque, but he's on the track to being that good. He's probably actually pretty close to being that way. I mean, you put the ball in the right spot for Davante Adams, there's like a 90% chance he comes down with it. And Marvin Harrison Jr., same sort of thing against lower level competition. So that kind of that's what's kind of, bringing it down from the NFL level, but at the college level, absolutely absurd what this man is capable of, and that is why he is number three and probably the number one overall player in this class. Just positional value, has quarterbacks over receiver. Commanders up, and this is a no surprise pick, someone that has just progressed and is so solid at pass pro, and someone that's developed his run game really well. Olu Fashanu off the board at number four, offensive tackle, go play left tackle for the Commanders. Bears up next, you have DJ Moore, who is a great player. You got Caleb Williams, but hey, you can always deepen that arsenal and get Malik Neighbors, who is electric after the catch, someone that is so good at just being athletic. That's kind of the best way you could put it. Smooth strider, really fun player, separates really well underneath. He can beat a guy downfield, and with his size, he has very impressive athleticism, and something that'll really stand out to you is his agility and his willingness and electricity. Malik Neighbors is the pick here at 5. I could see where you would want Joe Alt or anything like that, but if you're going to grab Caleb Williams, you want someone like Malik Neighbors, especially on the other side of DJ Moore. I think that is two very highly touted weapons. If you are Caleb Williams, you have one on one side, the other on the other, obviously, and it could just give you, that extra security. Surprise pick of the draft. I don't think he's a top 10 player. I don't think he gets picked inside the top 10, but give me Jaden Daniels here at the spot for fun reasons. I could see it happening if he does test enough or test well enough at the combine, if he really shows what everyone expects and more. Jaden Daniels could be picked inside the top 10, especially with the teams that have fallen into the top, I'd say 5 to 10 area. So Jaden Daniels really would come in and be a stud right away with his legs on the ground, everything like that. As a passer, he does get a little inconsistent. There are some miscues. He has so much time to throw at LSU. Kind of hard to tell. His progressions, he gets through them kind of well, but kind of sticks on his first read a little too much. There's some things, and you could learn about that in one of my past videos where I got my top 5 quarterbacks. I broke them all down. Jaden Daniels was one of the first ones in that video, and it was a really fun breakdown. Basically, he's already at Lamar Jackson running level when Lamar was a rookie. It's kind of what I said. He's already kind of at that level on the ground, which really we saw Anthony Richardson do really well. And his floor was kind of, run enough to make sure that the pass game is still a weapon of sorts. Like, you're not driven by the run, but you have the run, and that would change a defense to the point where you could pass, if that makes any sense. I don't know how many of you guys would get that, but it's kind of the same thing here with Jaden Daniels. With how dangerous he is on his legs, it'll open up opportunities through the air. Number 7, no problems here. Joe Alt, very solid tackle. He's actually getting some more hype as the draft process goes on, but I think the combine will be the big decider, or I guess if any of them go to any bowl games or anything like that, maybe, but I doubt it. So I would say the combine, if they both compete, we'll see who really comes out as tackle 1, but it is good to see Joe Alt getting some recognition late in the process already. Giants fans probably going to hate me for this one, but Brock Bowers just seems like the most bang for your buck at this spot. I know you have Darren Waller or whatever. He's always hurt, not reliable at all. He's getting pretty old at this point. Brock Bowers would come in and be a totally different type of player as well. Darren Waller is a field stretcher, vertical threat type of tight end, but Brock Bowers is one of the better tight end prospects we've seen as an all-around tight end in a while. So Brock Bowers would come out. I can't believe I already have him dropping to number 8. I like to push him off the board early because talent goes and talent sells in the NFL, and especially in the draft. So Brock Bowers, I don't see him lasting super long, but there's a scenario where he does get picked outside of the top 5 or 6. So Brock Bowers at number 8 to the New York Giants. Number 9 to the Tennessee Titans. I went ahead and took the old J.C. Latham. He's fallen down a little bit in a draft board or two, but that's fine. I think J.C. Latham's still, I believe, a solid right tackle. Yeah, he plays on the right side, and they just need anything. It really doesn't matter which side he plays on. You're replacing either Jalen Duncan or Andre Dillard, so both are very highly replaceable players, and J.C. Latham would come in and fill one of those tackle spots immediately. A big need, and it has been for about 4 years now for the Chargers, is just interior defensive line to stop the run and just put someone in the middle of the field or the middle of the defensive line to get the job done. They haven't had that presence in a while, and Jazon Newton definitely could fill that void in their defense, and their defensive schemes would be a lot more open and a lot better, in my opinion, with Jazon Newton, who's already very powerful both against the run and pass, gets off of blocks pretty impressively, and can kind of sift through, and just when he's on the interior. He makes his presence felt, a little undersized, but that doesn't stop him from making big impacts. At number 11, the dream scenario here for me is always Jaden Daniels, but since he's gone, I did go ahead and take Bo Nix, someone I'm very high on now, who I think is a better floor than Drake May. I see some negative words on Bo Nix still, and I'm not like, oh, I totally miss it. Like, I don't see any flaws, but Bo Nix is very good in my eyes. Systematic quarterback at Oregon and at Auburn. The arm talent shows. He's very just talented, I would say, but to a point where his floor is just elevated by the games I watched from him this year. Bo Nix looks very good. I don't know how high he'll go in the draft because there are more intriguing prospects like J.J. McCarthy, Jaden Daniels of sorts. So we'll see how this really pans out. But Bo Nix to me is a great pick at number 11. And we'll see where these quarterbacks go, if any do go in the rest of this first round mock. And to kind of rebuttal here on Bo Nix, I didn't really explain it the best. He's very calculated. His timing's really good. He lets his receivers work after the catch. But when he is forced to make that deep throw or the big play, he's capable, very capable, has some impressive throws, and, shows off that arm strength, the connection, the rhythm. The offense just works with him behind it, and he looked very, very good. And I don't really understand, sometimes I see him behind some guys that he really shouldn't be. Bo Nix to me at 11, very solid pick. At number 12, whoever the head coach may be for him next year is going to want someone like Leatu Latu, who just wins. He's a total technician with power in his hands. He's so good and just always has that game plan to beat whoever he's against. He's very, very good with his hands and where he rhythms, patterns, swiping, everything like that. Leatu Latu's hand placement's always on point. He's very good at using leverage. Leatu Latu is edge 1 for me in this class. I know he probably did. Was he actually the first edge rusher off the board here? Jazon Newton's a right end in the Illinois system. Leatu Latu is edge 1 off the board. I thought I would have one going before now, but draft order has mixed up quite a bit. So give me Leatu Latu. At number 13, I hear so many people buzzing about this player. Someone that says, hey, his ceiling and everything is so good on this guy. How could I ignore it? So I went and saw some Dallas Turner, and I thought I'd take him here at number 13. But we have Ocheta Nwosu, Darrell Taylor, Boye Mafe. Great, add to that rotation, make your team better. You already have Jaron Reed, who's playing really well, Leonard Williams, who's playing pretty well, and Draymond Jones, who's a versatile guy that can play 3-tech all the way to the nose tackle position. He's very good and moving around, so why not add to that rotation and really bring in a stud pass rusher like Dallas Turner on the other side of whoever it is on the other side. Ocheta Nwosu, Boye, and I don't know how much Darrell Taylor would really be playing if Dallas Turner's there. Darrell Taylor is obviously a different type of player. Dallas Turner comes in, he is jocked. The guy's huge, and Dallas Turner for me at 13 is a very good pick, and I don't know how many people you guys like this because I've gone edge here. People didn't like it before, so deal with it. Going on a little edge run right here at number 14, making sure I did this correctly. I went Jared Verse here. The floor is so high on him, and the Rams really can't afford to get an absolute miss with a top 15 pick. You can't just you know, go for a Chop Robinson. He's a boomer bust type of guy. You can't let him bust. You just pause. You can't let that happen. Jared Verse needs to pan out, and there's a high chance that he does over Chop Robinson in terms of just being a player for you. I think the lack of progression for Jared Verse this last year has really brought him down, but he's been really good as of late, and I don't think a lot of people really realize how good he is at getting to the pass or getting to the passer, and how good he is in pass rush. We were looking for him to take that next step in the run game. Didn't really take that jump, but he's been playing really well as of late, and people are really starting to kind of track off of him, so I could see him going inside the top 10 realistically in this draft if a team likes him enough. I had Broncos fans furious at me for doing this last time. Nate Wiggins is the pick for me, whether it's Kool-Aid McKinstry or Nate Wiggins at this spot. Nate Wiggins is probably the better option for them. It's just a pure boundary guy. I know obviously Kool-Aid is as well, but Nate Wiggins, are we serious right now? We're going to say, hey, I'd rather have Fabian Moreau coming out and starting. Like, please, you want someone on the other side of Pat Surtain that can really stir things up, and you have a big player in Nate Wiggins who is athletically gifted, so good at tracking, and I think he's a man-to-man type of guy that really does well and uses his size and athleticism really well. Nate Wiggins, to me, is a very exciting pick, a very exciting player, and for him to go to 15, I think that that's a good stretch and value for the Broncos. I don't know how some of you guys are defending it. Obviously, McMillion's been fine. He has shown flaws, but he does kind of make big plays for you. It's the same sort of thing as a Packers fan with Keyshawn Nixon, slot corner, but you need someone else. You can't have Fabian Moreau. I'm sorry. It's just not really where you're at right now, and if you're really trying to win, you got to shore up a big position of need in corner. It's obviously a bigger need in my eyes than it seems to be in other people's, and that's why corner does get kind of depleted down the board here for me, because I do think corner is a major position on a defense. I'll put it this way. If you have someone unreliable, you have to designate either a safety over top or your nickel to play a zone accordingly to the guy that needs assistance. If you have someone that is solid, you're not taking assets from the other side or the middle of the field or the top. If you have a depleted secondary and you don't trust it, it's not good. You mess things up, and that is why corners do go typically high. I don't think anyone really saw the Devin Witherspoon pick going like really high until later in the process, when everyone really started and all the experts really put it out there that these corners are gonna go. So I wouldn't be surprised if Nate Wiggins is also a top 10 pick, much like the guy that we picked before him at number 14, Jared Verse. Speaking of that, saw who was starting on the depth chart for Arizona. It wasn't even close. Give me Kool-Aid freaking McKinstry. Moving on. Not really a whole lot to talk about there. If you want to learn about him, go to NFL Draft Buzz or wherever. Just look up Kool-Aid McKinstry draft profile. You'll like what you see. If you're a Cardinals fan, very solid, good corner for you. Only athletic concerns there, and I think he'll test fine. If he runs a 4.49, that's like obviously not best case scenario, but it's good still. So Kool-Aid's fine. Now, this is absolutely massive in this mock. Someone who has fallen this far that is never before for me is Rome Odunze. I'm a huge fan of Rome Odunze, but he falls to 17 and right into the Bills' arms. That is so good value. You don't find this. Like, this is a very good player. Falling this far is unlikely because, like I said, talent and good players just seem to go off in the draft. It's just what happens. They just go off the board. So for Rome Odunze to fall to me here or fall to the Bills here is spectacular for the Bills, probably unlikely. Bengals right tackle, I believe, is already Jonah Williams, who's fine. All right, and on the other side you have Orlando Brown. But all I hear is constant concern for the offensive line. So whether or not you want to take Talise Fuaga, flip him to guard, or same thing with Jonah Williams, you could do whatever you want. Jonah Williams probably profiles better on the outside, but if you're a Bengals fan, all I've heard is tackle, or offensive line. Sorry, I just hit my mic. There's just different things you can do at this spot. Just none that really make as much sense as taking Talise Fuaga. It just makes more sense to me than really anything else I could have seen. Sure, take Chop Robinson. You got Myles Murphy last year, Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson, both on pretty good contracts. They are getting older, but they are still very solid. And if you're looking to take another run, I don't think you really want to try to or start to develop a guy like Chop Robinson. Buccaneers, it was between Chop Robinson and one other guy for me, and I went with the other guy. It was Keon Coleman. Like I said, Chop Robinson, dude, he could be a top 10 pick. I don't know. People are so very high on him, and so am I. Freaky athleticism, crazy bend. His first step is incredibly fast. Chop Robinson's a good player, but to me, there are better options out there and for better teams. How the hell did this just get flipped? I'm so I have to restart the mock. I thought it was the Bucks pick. So now that we're with the Packers, I was talking about this earlier with Keyshawn Nixon, who's someone who's really inconsistent in coverage, but can force a turnover and make a big play here and there with a big hit and high motor mentality. I'm going to take Cooper DeJean here. He can slide back to play safety. We need corner. We have literally Corey Ballantyne playing on the boundary right now alongside Carrington Valentine. Jair, obviously still a player. Eric Stokes, still a player. How much are they on the field? How much time have they missed? Something you have to take into account. And Cooper DeJean, when those guys are healthy, can slide to the nickel or safety or outside. If Eric Stokes gets hurt again, or Jair Alexander gets hurt again, there's so much flexibility with Cooper DeJean. That's really what we need right now. Give me Cooper freaking DeJean at number 19 to the Packers. Really happy about that as a Packers fan. Now you guys know where I went with this pick. It was Keon Coleman. You lose Mike Evans, which is likely this offseason. You only have Chris Godwin left. You need someone else, whether or not it's Baker Mayfield or someone else next year. It's going to be hard to kind of see anybody else other than someone in free agency. I don't think you're going to go for Michael Penix here. It just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me in my mind. I definitely could be wrong. They just don't really seem like a quarterback team. So I don't know. Keon Coleman for me here. This could go a million other ways. I can definitely see it. The Buccaneers are solid as a team on paper. If you want to improve, go ahead and improve anywhere. There are players allowed or remaining on this draft, and that can allow them to go a million different routes, and I just went Keon Coleman here. Leaving Chop Robinson, much like Samson Ebukam, who's actually been playing really well as of late off the edge for the Colts. I want Chop Robinson over Samson Ebukam, considering, think about the name there. Do you know Samson Ebukam as much as Nick Bosa and guys like that? No. But Chop Robinson has the ability to turn into a guy on the second tier of edge rushers, just below those guys that are all in those Defensive Player of the Year category. Josh Allen, why am I blanking already? Josh Allen, Nick Bosa, TJ Watt. There's guys at the very, very top, and Chop Robinson probably can emerge as one of those guys, but that's a very small chance. I think that he has a better chance of being a tier 2 or 3 edge rusher in this league, and that is still very valuable and very good. You get that at 21. It's great value overall, and I just don't see teams missing on him this much. I think he is a top 15 player when the draft comes around, but for me in this mock, a few players have fallen, and one of them that has fallen victim to me falling or making them drop is Chop Robinson. Next pick for me at the Vikings, I like the floor of Washington's Michael Penix. You might want to take JJ McCarthy. You might want other people, and Carson Beck's actually starting to acknowledge the fact he had starting quarterback grades in the NFL. That's from one of Dane Brugler, one of the guys that is highly touted in the scouting area. He says that teams literally have a starting grade on Carson Beck, so maybe he declares. I don't know, but Michael Penix, to me, the floor and his ability, arm talent, what he can do, and Kevin O'Connell at head coach, it's so fun to me. I think Kirk Cousins is gone after this year. Maybe he returns. There is rumors and reports going around that they both are interested in extending Kirk Cousins. So if you want to, go ahead. And Michael Penix is not a pick here, and you probably move elsewhere at the 22 spot, but for me it's Michael Penix, and I just like the dynamic, whatever. He's so good at launching the ball downfield, throws rifles to every level of the field, knows when to check down, gets through his progressions. He's good and bad at the same time. There are some things you don't really like, but he can learn, and I think he's highly likely to adapt well to the NFL scene earlier than other guys in this class. Took me a minute to find the pick here, but I did ultimately end up going corner for them after I remember how atrocious they are at corner. And I was like, hey, who's the most Pittsburgh Steeler player? I was looking down. Denzel Burke has dropped so far, by the way, but looking at a guy like Terrion Arnold, someone that is so physical as well, and someone I think will test really well. If all goes well for him, he could be a top 20 pick in this draft, but he's going at 23 for me. For the Steelers here, it's just a good man-to-man corner, good size, everything you need, and is willing to come in, make a tackle, blow up a play. Maybe he can he can fly sideline to sideline if you want him to, if you really want to, keep him in like a zone area, or even if you want to flip him to nickel in some packages when you think it could be a run. Arnold will come down and make a tackle for you. He's really good. In my eyes, I don't see where people are kind of low on him. I can understand that, but with cornerback being such a valued position in the NFL, you might see a few that might not be ranked as high go a little bit higher due to need. And I couldn't shake it. I've had this going so many times. It's Emeka Egbuka for me. I know you have Tank Dell and Nico Collins. Tank Dell's obviously unfortunately injured, and other than Bobby Trees, John Mechie, and Noah Brown, you really are left with nobody, especially this last game. We saw Nico Collins go down with an injury. It got really sketchy for him, and I think that you just like more security at the receiver position for your young quarterback, CJ Stroud. No other, really route I could go. Braylon Trice, sure, but you got so many guys on the edge, whether it's Myjai Sanders, who might emerge, Derek Barnett, who might be good. Jonathan Grenard on the other side of Will Anderson is a good rotational edge rush area and team. I could see Braylon Trice going off. I can see Carmen Kinchins if Jimmy Ward leaves the team. Amarius Mims, sure, go replace Titus Howard. I don't know how replaceable his contract is, though. So you're really left with no other place other than probably Braylon Trice and Emeka Egbuka. And if you ask your franchise quarterback, he's going to want Emeka Egbuka. Speaking of Amarius Mims here, I went with him. Maybe Juwan Taylor, who played left tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars, flips back to that side because his contract is bigger than Donovan Smith, and Donovan Smith has been horrendous as a story and as a player this year. So Amarius Mims flips onto that right side, or if you want, you could flip Amarius to the left side. He plays right tackle at Georgia, showed signs of greatness. He's a big mold of clay, is how I like to say it. He is a big dude, big. I think like 6'6", 6'7", somewhere in that area. Massive human being that can move bodies. And if if everything with Amarius Mims works out, and Juwan Taylor, you have another good counterpart to him on the other side in the other tackle position, then Amarius Mims, you might have yourself a tackle duo of the future with guys like Joe Tooney, Trey Smith, and Creed Humphrey in the middle. You might have the best offensive line in football if all pans out for this team next year. Now, I talked about Braylon Trice earlier, and this seems about the right area. I will go JT Tuimoloau for them a lot, but they need just another guy that can rotate on the inside and out of this class, and JT Tui, or on the outside of this line. Trayvon Walker's been untouchable. Not untouchable. That's been like the opposite. He's been very much locked up this season. He has not been good, has not been consistently getting pressure. So Braylon Trice then comes in, tries to add another body on the inside. Maybe you can mix him, Braylon Trice, and Josh Allen if Josh Allen returns to the Jaguars, and you'd have yourself a pretty good trio there. Braylon Trice can slide inside as well. He has done it. You probably want him to play like out wide, and you might want to move a guy like Trayvon Walker inside. It gets really tough with this sort of thing, but it's the best, and it makes the most sense other than a guy like Graham Barton maybe. Just talked about JT Tuimoloau. He is the perfect counterpart to Aiden Hutchinson, someone that has to play pretty much all the way out wide. JT Tuimoloau would come in and be an instant guy. They have no other guy on the other side, on the opposite side of Hutchinson to even that out. You do with JT Tuimoloau. He'd come in, already have a presence immediately. He's a pretty high floor player. Obviously, playing at Ohio State has its benefits in terms of player evaluation. You go against some good players, good offensive tackles and whatnot, and you have better people on that defensive line along with you to maybe draw a double team elsewhere, to the point where you have that, and you have that same thing in the NFL alongside Aiden Hutchinson. That's something I really like. So JT Tuimoloau would be a great counterpart, and maybe you slide James Houston into that edge rush, whatever it's called, rotation, and you add maybe James Houston, Tuimoloau right there, right? So you have him on the edge, and then Aiden Hutchinson at 3 tech, and it could be super fun. Now for me, at the Philadelphia Eagles pick, you can look anywhere. Like Adonai Mitchell at the top of this board is good. Graham Barton could come into play, center for you. Cam Jurgens somewhere else, I don't know, maybe he's your long-term Kelsey replacement. You hate to talk about replacing a guy like him, but whatever. Carmen Kitchens, Reed Blankenship, you know, he's kind of fine, whatever. But I opted to corner at this spot and take your pick of the crop here. I think TJ Tampa, after all said and done, he's going to be a first-round pick. Kamari Lassiter for me, though. Instinctual player, someone that I think would add to this Georgia-Philadelphia theme team here. I don't know what they got going on there, but they're definitely cooking in the lab, and you're going to add another Georgia player to that defense. Kamari Lassiter is good. That's really what it comes down to. He has a good understanding of the game. There are some inconsistencies, but he is a good player and someone that can already come in instead of Bradley Roby. Just touched up on my notes here on Kamari Lassiter. He's a very physical guy, very eager and willing to come down and make a play, instinctual in zone coverage, very physical and flashes good ability to stick with a guy downfield if he's playing man. There are some very good qualities in Kamari Lassiter, and if everything goes right in the testing process and he runs around that 4-5 area in the 40-yard dash, all should vote well for his draft height. Therefore, he'd go higher in the NFL draft. Obviously, I'm joking, but Kamari Lassiter, be a player to watch as the process moves on. Now, you look at the Dolphins, you say, what don't they have? And that is not speed, but it's size. They have Jalen Waddle, who is good at being big. All right, he's bigger than Tyreek Hill. Hill went out with an injury. After that happened, their offense got very one-dimensional and very easy, I guess. So Xavier Legette will come in, give you that third option in the pass game other than a guy like Cedric Wilson or anything like that. All the guys that you might look at here are off the board on that offensive line. Sure, Graham Barton stares you right in the face. I don't know. Obviously, Eichenberg's there, but you can get someone better down the board while still getting an outstanding, tremendous athlete, first of all, in Xavier Legette, but also a huge, jocked body that can set the edge on the run as well for Devon Achane, someone like that who likes to run to the second level within seconds in a snap, whatever. You have someone like Achane. This guy complements in every single way possible. This offense gets a lot better with Xavier Legette over some offensive line that doesn't even need that you don't even need because Tua gets the ball out in microseconds. So there's that. Moving on. Safety is a concern for me with the Cowgirls. Just going Carmen Kitchens, very good player. Safety is just not valued as high, and especially with this deep of a class where there are some guys that perhaps isn't like a top 15 to 20 type player, but like Tyler Nubin and Kitchens up there on that top, and then Kalen Bullock, and then there's Rod Moore, Billy Bowman, Javon Bullard. Bullard might actually go a bit higher than like a guy like Rod Moore even. So we'll see how it all pans out by the NFL draft or what we're all thinking by then. But for me, for now, it's Carmen Kitchens at 30 for the Dallas Cowgirls to switch some things up. They have some players back there that are good, just not quite as athletic as you might want and or need in this day and age. They are a lot older. Their contracts are replaceable. You can move on from them within, weeks. So Carmen Kitchens would come in and be a good player for them. Now, I watch the 49ers every single weekend, so any of you Niners fans have a problem with this, you need to watch football better. I'm going TJ Tampa. Like I said, when all said and done, he should be a first-round pick in my eyes. Measurables, athleticism is obviously there, his agility and ability to flip and just run with a guy or track a guy or even turn around and play on the ball. He's very much what you'd need and what you look for at corner, but he's not that polished product that perhaps a Nate Wiggins is, but he has that sort of ceiling where if all pans out, if all goes well, if there's enough going right for TJ Tampa, he could be a very good cornerback in this league. Take him at 31. Hopefully he turns into a great player for you. If not, you can take some hits down the board on some guys. There's a guy like Kalen Carson, maybe Mike Sanders still to come in and play slot for you while you continue to play Diamador Lenore and Charvarius Ward on the outside. Ward is aging. That is something to remember as well. But I would look at a guy like Kalen Carson late in the second or whatever it is in case you want to double down on corner or in case you want to go Graham Barton here and try to solidify an offensive line that people really think it is a need but don't really think about how that offense works, and it's really not a need. Finally, last pick of the draft clicked out of corner, but I'm going to go right back to it. We're here. I watched some Josh Newton after I had some question marks. I've been looking at him and his athleticism's kind of meh. But man, oh me, I liked him even back in 2022. Said, hey, I'll watch some 2023 tape. Josh Newton, is a guy that I think could raise some draft boards, especially with a good combine. This guy could be better than what is perceived right now on Josh Newton, so I'm going Josh Newton for the Ravens at this spot. First round mock draft goes Caleb Williams, Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr., Olamiwu Fashanu, Malik Neighbors, Jaden Daniels, Joe Alt, Brock Bowers, J.C. Latham, Jerzon Newton, Bo Nix, Leatu Latu, Dallas Turner, Jared Verse, Nate Wiggins, Kool-Aid McKinstry. Rome Odunze goes a lot later than you'd probably think. Talise Fuwaga, Cooper DeJean, great value at 19. Keon Coleman, Chop Robinson, way later than you've probably seen before. He is like a top 10 pick for people, and not saying I don't understand that, just in this particular mock, didn't really find a place for him. So Michael Penix then goes number 22 to the Vikings. 23 is Terrion Arnold, feels like a Steeler. Emeka Egbuka reunites with his with the franchise quarterback with the Texans, who played at Ohio State with Emeka, and Mamarius Mims. Good value again. If he all pans out, like I said, could be a great player for him. Braylon Trice, JT Tuimoloau, Kamari Lassiter, Xavier Legette adds another dimension to that offense, in my opinion. Carmen Kinchins, TJ Tampa, and Josh Newton. That'll be all for me. Thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, go down, subscribe, go watch any of the past content on my channel about the draft. I'm sure you guys will like it, especially if you like this video. So that'll be all for me. Thanks for watching. Deuces!